What up, guys? So today, I had a chance to check out the new sixth installment of the Scream franchise. And I'm someone who's a big fan of the Scream franchise. I love the original film. What Wes Craven did was brilliant. He really just did a big game changer of the slasher genre. It was a meta-ness of who done it. They always have you guessing of who the killer is. And by the time you get to the third act finale, you see the big reveal. And he does a great job of poke fun of the pulp culture references to the slasher movies and every genre in general. And it was great at the time during the mid 90s. And I'm someone that really loved the sequel to Scream more than most people. I know, and this is a very underrated and not a lot of people talk about it. And I know that the third film is not for everybody, and not a lot of people really like the third installment, but I'm one of the people that really did enjoy it. It was one of my guilty pleasures watching it, and I thought the fourth movie was very mid at its best. Not bad, but not great. When I found out that the two co-directors who made Ready or Not, which you haven't seen that film yet, you should. But when I found out that they were going to come in to direct the franchise and try to revitalize it, I was like, oh, it piqued my interest, and then they were going to bring in the original cast back on the big screen. And then the trailers came around, and it really started to hype me up. And after watching the fifth film, I will say that it was okay. It's not great. It's not perfect. It was great to see the original cast come back, but I was one of the people that did not really like the newer cast as much. They're not bad or anything. They're just very mediocre to me. But Jenna Ortega was one of the interesting characters of the movie, and yeah, Jack Quaid as well, the actor who was in The Boys series. But at the end of the day, I thought it was an okay follow-up sequel to the fourth film. And then when I found out that the two co-directors who directed the fifth installment and they were going to come back to do the sixth installment of the franchise, I was a little bit nervous. I mean, I understand that the fifth movie became a big hit at the box office and they wanted to do another one, but I wasn't so sure. I was very skeptical at the time. The trailers did not really do anything to me. I didn't have any interest in it. But then the critics came around and say nothing, a lot of positive things of the film, so I decided to give this thing a watch. And I know I'm very late to review this movie because the film was out like for a month, but I finally got around to watching it, and after coming out of Scream 6, I will say this, it's really good. It was a better follow-up to the fifth film, and I don't know whether I like the sixth movie or the fifth one more, but because I just rewatched the fifth film today, but I will say for now that the sixth movie was a lot better than the fifth one. And I thought that the newer cast members from the fifth Scream movie was a little better this time around. I really liked them, and I liked how they changed the location and go to New York and seeing the new killer going on a rampage. A couple of my favorite scenes of the movie was the convenience store and the train scene, the one that we saw in the trailer. They really took it up a notch, and the killer was far more brutal and far more ruthless than the other killer did. And I thought that the body counts was incredible. It was so fun to watch. Even the sound design was like, oh my god, they really know how to make you feel the broken bones, the stabbing. It really did not miss a beat. And it was great to see a couple of familiar faces like Gale Weathers, played by Courteney Cox, and Kirby, played by Hayden Panettiere, which the same character that was in the fourth film, which we all assume, for those of you who have already seen the fourth film, I thought she was dead. We all thought she was dead. And when I found out that they announced that her character was coming back and she's going to be playing the FBI agent who wants to help track down the new killer that's going on a rampage, it looked very intriguing to me, and I was like giving it the open mind. And this has been a while since Hayden Panettiere came out of retirement of her acting for a long time. And yes, I do feel the little bit of the absence of Neve Campbell, who played Sidney Prescott, because she's always been the face of the franchise, and she's been in like every movie that she survives in all of the films, and we all loved her because she is literally the definition of the Scream Queen of the franchise. And I understand why that she didn't come back, because the studio did not pay enough money for her to want to come back. But they definitely gave an explanation to why Sidney is not in the film for the story purposes. I thought they handled it a lot better than what the third Creed movie did with Rocky Balboa. I thought they gave it a better explanation. And there's always a door open if they ever want her to come back to the seventh film, if they wanted to do another one. Because I don't know the box office result, I have assumed that it did very well and that the studio would be open to do a seventh movie. And couple of my negatives here is that some of the characters' logical decisions that felt very ridiculous, but I understand why. And there are times where that there was many opportunities that they could have taken out the killer. I understand why they didn't do that because if they were to take out the killer so early on in the movie, then the movie would have been over. It's been happening a lot in a lot of the slasher genres, including the Scream movies. So we tended to turn our brain off and suspend our disbeliefs. And there are times where some of the victims, how many times that they've been stabbed and how many times that they've been shot in the stomach, especially some of the characters, some of the main characters, and they still were able to get themselves up, and it kind of felt a little bit ridiculous. But it's nothing new. It's something that's been done before in the previous Scream movies, so it's another suspension of disbeliefs. In the third act finale, while it was strong, but at the same time, it kind of felt very far-fetched and really ridiculous and not very convincing. I mean, I get the killer's motives, but it kind of felt a little over the top at times. But overall, this is definitely a lot more improvement over the fifth film. I did like this movie a little bit more. And if you're someone who's a big fan of the Scream franchise, I think you're going to have a good time in the theater. You can still go see it right now in theaters while it's still playing. And I believe that in a couple of weeks it's supposed to drop digitally. But a good thing I had a chance to see this on the big screen. And I thought I had a very good time watching it at the end of the day. And yes, does it follow the same traditional, Scream movies that we've seen many times before? Sure. And I thought that the opening was a little bit different at times that I did not expect. And yes, the tradition is that someone's going to get killed in the beginning of the movie, and you're always going to figure out who the killer is, and we always wanted to play murder mystery of who done it. And by the time you get to the third act, you see the big reveal, and the antagonist gives the big evil monologue to the protagonist by the end of the film, which it happens in all the Scream movies, so that's nothing new. Now, for some of you who have already seen it, what did you think of it? Did you really enjoy this movie? Did it live up to your expectations? Or were you someone who was a little disappointed and you kind of want the franchise to be done with? Just jump down in the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. And if you're you're watching this on YouTube, definitely subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And if you really enjoyed this review, hit the like button and turn on the bell notifications for more videos to come.